We're live.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Emory White, 2024 JCI Vice President assigned to Europe, and it is my great pleasure to be your host today. Welcome to JCI Europe's live session on the first International Human Duties Day. I would like to offer an acknowledgement of country, which is customary in Australia. In the spirit of reconciliation, I acknowledge the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea, and community. I pay my respect to their elders, past and present, and extend that respect to all First Nations people today. I acknowledge and respect their continuing culture and the contribution made to the life of this country. I am joining you from Dharawal country today, which is south of Sydney in New South Wales, Australia. Please share in the chat or comments where you are joining from. Today, Wednesday, the 10th of July, 2024, we are celebrating the launch of the first International Human Duties Day. We would like to further explain this auspicious initiative and are planning to engage in an informative and interactive discussion to deepen our awareness. You can watch us live on JCI Europe Facebook and or join the Zoom with us now. You can find the link in the description of the event. Please feel free to comment in the chat or comments and post questions we can ask our speakers. Allow me to start by recognizing and welcoming our guest speakers. We have with us UN Peacekeeper Kel Gleeson, 2024 JCI President Kaveen Kumar Kumaravel, 2022 JCI President Argenis Angulo, 2006 JCI President Lars Hajslund, and 2024 Executive Vice President assigned to Europe, Manuela. We thank you for joining us and are looking forward to exploring human duties, its importance and roadmap ahead, getting an insight into living our duties every day, and learning about the Universal Declaration of Human Duties for Leaders and its inception. A very warm welcome to all our participants and viewers today. It is now time to learn more about the Universal Declaration of Human Duties for Leaders and where the concept came from. 2022 President Argenis Angulo from Venezuela made human duties his flagship project. Argenis is a journalist, businessman, executive consultant, and permanent advisor on the board of many different business groups. He holds a Master of Science in Communication and also graduated as an executive coach and as a professional television and radio presenter. With 20 uninterrupted years of JCI experiences, he has served at local, national, and international level, giving him perspective and insight to affect change. Argenis is the global promoter of human duties, and I would like to hand over to him to share with us why this initiative is so important to him and all of us.
Dear VP, dear leaders from whole Europe, and of course, thanks EVP Manuela for leading us in Europe through all the team there to start with this celebration. The President Kaveen Kumar Kumaravel this year are inviting us to make a difference. And definitely the Human Duties Day is a way to do that. What we are doing through the Human Duties Day. We are starting a new stage in history of humanity that we started writing as JCI members in 2022. When we started this, I started a very huge discussion. And I would like to say the first discussion that we had in terms of the first proposal was in Europe, was in the National President's Meeting, in an online way because the pandemic, and the feedback that JCI Europe provides since the first day was awesome to achieve to the result that we are celebrating today. It started on times of pandemic with all the lessons of the pandemic. We all through JCI knows very well the kind of projects that leaders as you as members are connecting with us, as Raul, and nice to greet you in Catalonia, nice to send you all JCI senators in through Pelina Bulgretti and Gratitude. Well, we all knows is happening around the world in terms of human rights. And we all, as part of the UN ecosystem, of course, definitely know and defend human rights. And we faced amazing challenges in terms of rights in different parts of the planet. But the main gap that we discovered, the main gap that we identified, is that all people, if we can talk in general, talks about rights, and anyone was talking about duties. But JCI is called to talk about duties. And in several times we mentioned that we had the ambition to put that idea on the table of the global agenda. What we are doing, especially this year, through the leadership of the president, and since 2022, is achieving that, put it in the real life, in the global agenda, that needs to change the mindset of next generations, not only in terms of rights, but also in terms of duties, as part of. On that sense, I always mention in Article 29 of Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the duties are part of. The duties are mentioned. It said every person has duties regarding community as long as the fact of this, he can freely and fully develop his personality. It is part of what we are doing as JCI, is calling the world, is calling our leaders to say, okay, it's time to balance the mindset of human being. And on that sense, I would like to express here how we are doing that. What is the timeline that we are developing as JCI? In 2022, okay, we started these discussions. In each area conference, we have sessions to receive feedback. Definitely leaders that are here maybe were part of that. Then thanks to all the support of JCI movement, board of directors, national presidents, local presidents that participated, HQ, senators, and stakeholders, we developed this document, the Universal Declaration of Human Duties for Leaders. And it was presented on November 2, especially, well, for me, memorable day, November 2, in a World Congress that was leading a hybrid version because the pandemic from Hong Kong. We approved with an unanimous vote this first declaration that is a milestone in our perspective for the entire humanity. And this day also, we decided make a difference again in our constitution, in our foundations, and we include in the chapter 2 of our constitution the concept of human duties, as we always had the concept of human rights, to ensure that the organization continue working in the future for next generations and understand that process and that new mindset that we are called to be part of, as part of this challenged humanity. Next year in 2023, also a milestone, but add to this story. Former Secretary General of UN, Ban Ki-moon, this amazing Korean leader that we admired, announced officially his support through Ban Ki-moon Center, his support to this initiative. And with that, we start adding more advocacy in terms of leaders that knows very well what is happening around the world and the UN ecosystem. It happened in 2023. And then we, as global leaders, elect through our national presidents a new president from India, Kaveen Kumar Kumaravel, that also was part of all this process that I already mentioned. And thanks to that, he decided to include in the, and we will have the pleasure, the honor to hear you, to hear our president also here. He had the vision to include in the initiatives that he proposed, 33 initiatives that he proposed for the entire global movement, the idea to call for celebrating a Human Duties Day that is an amazing strategy for ensure that people is advocating about it and people is knowing what is established in the Human Duties proposal. That include, I will mention it definitely in these minutes, preserve life, the responsibility to be part of healthcare, for example, starting by yourself. I have the responsibility with me, my family, and my community to take care of myself, but because it's part of taking care of others, and that is part of preserve life. The second one, that is serve humanity. We are telling the entire humanity that as a JCI member that we all invest a lot of time and energy supporting, creating projects that make solutions for a lot of people. Well, we are called to respect, honor through service other leaders and community and contribute with fair and justice in our communities. But also we have sustain for the future, talking about the responsibility that we all have with the environment, preserving ecosystems, and defining sustainable practices in our personal life. But also we talk about pursue prosperity, our individual responsibility in the development of our communities, cities, and teams. And we talk about respect human personality, duty number 5, that mentioned the importance of taking care of heritage, of languages, of diversity, absolutely aligned with the principles of JCI. Or duty number 6, that talk about educate yourself and teach others. All people knows and respect and recognize nowadays that education is a right, but definitely it's a duty. We need next generations understanding that they need to be better each single day to prepare themselves and to share the lessons that he or she received. And definitely in this leadership organization, lead responsibly. That means, okay, we are all called to assume the leadership of our personal life, first of all, and then through your leadership, impact your context and your environment. On that sense, and with all this journey that I and explaining and this writing on this milestone exactly today, July 10, thanks to this initiative, I would like to arrive to the vision. What is the vision for next? The big dream is that thanks to leaders as the leader that honor us also here, Mr. Kel Gleeson, and a lot of leaders from around the world, one day in General Assembly of United Nations, the world approved a Universal Declaration of Human Duties that accompany the Universal Declaration of Human Rights that was approved, then of a lot of lessons of war and crisis around the world in December 10, 1948. And that thanks to JCI, thanks to this movement, thanks to the advocacy that we are doing today, leaders from all over the world propose and approve in a General Assembly of United Nations this document that establishes this new hidden history of humanity and this new mindset for ensure the sustainability of the planet for next years. Finally, I would like to mention that here in my country, in Venezuela, just in next minutes, I need to prepare myself to what I think is another milestone. And I mentioned it just to add other ideas in terms of what can we do. In next hours, the parliament of my state will present for the improvement of first discussion the human duties law of the state, inspiring the Human Duties Declaration of JCI. There we will have a lot of JCI members. We have the opportunity to deliver our message to the parliament. And there are an official commission working inspired in JCI to present a human duties law that establish a framework of duties for citizens here. That is part of. I had the pleasure to accompany President Kaveen in New York. For sure, he will talk about these achievements through his leadership. But since Zulia State, since Venezuela, since Latin America, I would like to say JCI Europe, thank you so much for supporting since first day, when it was just a dream in a piece of paper as this one, just some notes. You said, okay, it sounds interesting. Okay, what can we do to support that? Okay, maybe it is possible, and definitely it is possible. What we are doing is history, but it is not the important thing. It's not about to be part of history as JCI. It's about the impact that we will create for ensuring the sustainability of the planet, and that's what we are doing with people more ready and happy assuming their duties, our individual responsibilities. Thank you so much to this amazing panel. Thank you so much, especially EVP Manuela and VP Emory to lead that session. And let's celebrate, let's make a difference this year celebrating the Human Duties Day that here in Venezuela at 6:47 a.m. is just starting.
Thank you so much, President Argenis, for being with us and being the beginning of creating the declaration and for continually supporting and promoting its importance globally. Thank you for joining us so early, and we will take some questions a bit later for you as you're staying with us for our entire session. Let us now hear from 2024 Vice President Kaveen. Kaveen holds a Master's in Science and International Business and is the Managing Partner of Tip Top Groups. He joined JCI in 2010, moving through local, zone, national, and international leadership to be the guiding force of our organization today. Constantly excelling in anything he turns his hand to, it is no surprise our president has taken the Declaration of Human Duties for Leaders to new heights. We'll start with a short video of the Human Duties Day launch in New York and then hand over to our president to share with us why it is so important to him to carry on promoting the declaration and the roadmap ahead.
Emory, we have a problem with the video, so can we continue?
Absolutely. President Kaveen, the floor, please talk to us about New York and human duties.
Thank you, Vice President Emory. Greetings to all the board of directors and the guests who are here. First of all, I would like to congratulate for arranging this Zoom call to discuss about human duties on this day of where we are celebrating International Human Duties Day. And President Argenis rightly explained about what is human duties and how did we come to this situation where we are in, where we are celebrating this International Human Duties Day. So why human duties? Everybody loves to talk about human rights, but when we ask them to talk about duties, people hesitate because duties means responsibilities. It is very easy to talk about rights, but talking about duties means you have to be responsible and act. So how did we end up being here celebrating this particular day today, 2022, as President Argenis mentioned? We got this idea from him and from the members, and it was approved in the World Congress at Hong Kong, and it was mentioned in our constitution and policy. And in 2023, it was supported, and the signature campaign was signed by Ban Ki-moon. And in 2024, at the beginning of the year, we decided we will launch another signature campaign where we will submit a petition to United Nations asking them to observe Human Duties Day. And today we crossed a milestone of having 25,000 signatures from 147 countries around the world. And after that, we decided, okay, we will celebrate this particular day, but we wanted to launch this from US, the home of our organization, JCI. And we also decided, okay, we will do it from the United Nations. So we organized a reception in United Nations with lots of diplomats and ambassadors from 50+ countries. And on July 1st, we formally launched this International Human Duties Day from UN. And also we did lots of events in US starting from Times Square, having a billboard there, and doing many activities in and around New York. And after that, today I'm addressing to you from Japan. And today in JCI Academy at Japan, in the presence of people from 100+ countries, we celebrated Human Duties Day. And what next? This shouldn't be a one-year affair where one president comes and proposes one idea and everybody celebrates it and forgets about it. This should be taken to the next level, like how President Argenis framed this idea, and this has reached to the next level of celebrating a Human Duties Day. And then the next level, from here, we should level up by making this a point of discussion in UN General Assembly next year. So we need sponsors from different countries so that we make sure that this dream is will definitely come into reality. We have done this in the past. If you look at the history, the Child Rights Day, which is celebrated in 20th of November from 1989, that was actually proposed by JCI in 1999, and with the support of many countries, that became a reality. And now again, we are proposing this International Human Duties Day on 10th of July. So I would like to close with one message saying that we all know that we celebrate Human Rights Day on 10th of December. But to claim the rights on 10th of December, I suggest that we do our duties from 10th of July so that we can claim our right by end of the year, that is 10th of December. On that note, I wish all the members who are watching online on this International Human Duties Day call a very happy Human Duties Day, and thank you very much for having me here.
Thank you very much, President Kaveen. President Lars, do we have a question for Kaveen before he goes?
We certainly do. We have a question that I actually think could work for both the both the president and the past president as well. They can offer their 2 cents. Just put it on the screen here. How do you envision JCI's senior leadership assisting national presidents and inspiring members to carry out projects related to human rights and responsibilities in an environment where members are inactive and presidents are burdened with their own tasks and overall JCI administrative responsibilities? It's coming from Vira. So, Mr. President, is that something for you?
I'm sorry, I'm not able to understand the question. Can you
I'll
come
put
again?
the question on the screen. You can see there. It says here that from Ukaviri, he says that how do you envision JCI senior leadership assisting national presidents in inspiring members to carry out projects related to human rights and responsibilities in an environment where members are inactive and presidents are burdened with their own tasks and overall JCI administrative responsibilities?
All right. So not just about human rights and human duties, when I see the past members, the senior members as mentors of this organization. We all need mentors at some point of time so that we travel in the right path. And having mentors will be will definitely work on the advantage many times. So administrative responsibilities, yes, we all have certain things that we must do, and we must be able to understand the difference between the things which we must do and things which we end up just doing for the sake of doing. We must reflect on if it is really necessary for the organization, if it is giving us the return of investment, whatever time or money which we spend in. So on reflecting all these and with the support of the mentors, I believe a positive change is definitely possible with the senior leadership or the past members who are always there around you to offer some advice.
And President Argenis, do you have any comments for this question?
Yes, I would like to completely agree with President Kaveen, but also would like to add that in terms of the administrative responsibilities and duties and all what is established in strategic planning of plan of action of your any local or national organization, with when a new initiative arrive, it's also an idea to check, okay, how I can connect what we are doing with this initiative to ensure that it happen in the real life with the time that we have. For example, okay, we are planning an online training session. Okay, it can be maybe around human duties as we are doing here, or we have the national regional convention. Okay, how can we add to this previous responsibility this idea? At the end, is a way to on this preparation to connect things, and especially human duties is completely well aligned with everything in our history in JCI. Is aligned with our creed, is aligned with our plan of action, is aligned with the strategic plan, is aligned with our principles, and it's very easy to connect one of the duties, and is the last recommendation. Definitely, if you are doing a project on JCI, this project is connected in one way with at least one of the 7 duties that are established in our declaration. Is at the end, my recommendation is check connections between the responsibilities that you already have established and the human duties framework to ensure that you are part of this global movement.
Thank you very much. Going back to Emory.
Thank you so much, our Human Duties President. Thank you, President Kaveen, for joining us from Japan Academy. Please wish our future leaders the best of luck. You have our support to further grow the International Human Duties Day initiative.
And just from the back office here, we have a question, maybe for some of the presidents. What is your proudest achievement? Let me put it on here again. What is your proudest achievements thus far in terms of actions taken towards this initiative? I think both presidents can talk to that.
Well, I would say that proposing the first step would be to taking this initiative to the next level. Yes, this was announced in 2022, but 2023 there was a big gap. But 2024 again to talk about the initiative and take it to the next level by announcing a day and making people understand about it. I'm proud about that. Today, if you go to the social media and check out the hashtags, you will understand that many national organizations around the world are celebrating it. And I would also be proud about the achievement of having 25,000 signatures already for this initiative, because last I think we had a similar signature campaign, but we ended up having 1,500 signatures only. But this time we created a momentum among the members, and a lot of people having to discuss about human duties, a lot of people celebrating this. I see this as a success and the right step towards the goal which we want to achieve. So I'm proud about it.
And President Argenis? Or you're muted. Can you unmute?
Yes, definitely, and of course, I'm absolutely proud of the decisions that we took on this November 2, 2022, when we as JCI vision the mission that we have globally through a Universal Declaration of Human Duties, but especially today, thanks to the leadership of our board, and to see how it is continue growing and growing and growing and growing is absolutely great and happy news. Not for me, I think in the real life for the entire humanity. When I saw sessions as this session and what is happening globally, these sessions is happening also in different parts of the planet. That to see thousands of people talking about this idea is make me absolutely proud, and I would like to say, I know that is just the beginning. But the milestone that we are writing on this journey is awesome, especially this year, and I'm absolutely proud to see how next leaders are embracing the vision to ensure that they make the difference through their voices and through their initiatives to ensure next generations knows very well. At the end, I think JCI right with a very strong way this beginning in this initiative that is not anymore in our hands only as JCI, that now is on the global agendas thanks to the work and vision of all our leaders around the world.
Another question is coming up here on the screen. Living is a voice of hope. Famous Turkish poet Orhan Velikanik said that living means doing something. What would you like to say? What would you like to say about? Oh, sorry. That was a wrong thing. This one. What would you like to say about hope? Will JCI young people truly be able to make a difference regarding international human duties? You've been there for working for this for almost 3 years. So what do you think, President Argenis?
Well, what we are doing is an amazing hope message. When we are talking about, but to talk about hope, we're not talking just about a positive mindset to see, okay, future will be better because we deserve it. No, we know that future will be better because we know that we are doing things to ensure that it will be better. And that's what we are doing through human duties. We have each single day more and more human will connected with their responsibilities to ensure the future will be better. And if that is not hope, what it is? It's an amazing message of hope that JCI is providing, ensuring that each single day we have more people assuming their quotes of responsibilities to ensure that things are better around their community. And that's what is happening today.
President Kaveen, any comments?
Yes. So people ask me the question about purpose of life. If you look at the purpose of life, if you ask me, I would say the purpose of life is just one. It is to be useful to this world in whatever ways you can. So human duties definitely gives you this opportunity to be useful to this world, and not just be talking about rights, but also talking about the responsibilities you have as a human being. So I believe that JCI as an organization is an organization which is providing development opportunities. And as young people between 18 to 40, I truly believe that this initiative will definitely give one more opportunity to empower people and to work on the responsibilities as a human being.
Great. Floor back to you, Emory.
Thank you, dear presidents, and thank you for proving that leadership in JCI is the relay race where you pass the baton to each other and support all the initiatives moving forward. We thank you for your time, and we will take some further questions later if we can. But I'd like to move on, and in our third presentation, I'm going to interview UN Peacekeeper Kel Gleeson. Kel served with the Australian Army for 20 years, retiring in 1992 as a major. In that year, he joined the United Nations Department of Peacekeeping Operations as an international civilian, serving in Cambodia, Rwanda, Yugoslavia, East Timor, and Sudan. These UN operations exposed him to personal hardship and extraordinary challenges, which went a long way towards establishing his views on refugees, humanitarianism, and global citizenship. During these missions, he participated in tasks and operations which allowed him to experience and see firsthand the value of the United Nations on a global level. He retired in 2006 and returned to live in Sydney, In 2010, he joined the United Nations Association of Australia New South Wales Division and served as the president from 2013 to 2016. Kel currently is the CEO of Williams Business College in Sydney. To help us get to know you a little better, Kel, can you please share with us your journey internationally?
Thank you very much, Emory, and I'm most happy to be here to talk about Human Duties Day. In the UN, if we do have a shortfall and a void, it's what your presidents have been talking about, that we can actually identify rights, human rights, and Universal Declaration of Human Rights, but importantly, our Sustainable Development Goals. And the area we've missed out on is leadership. And this is something that you people are addressing right now. When I first joined the UN in Cambodia, it really showed me how difficult people's lives are. And a lot of us actually, in fact, have a reasonable standard of living. But the poor people are the people who need leadership. If there is a huge gap in humanity, Rwanda, coming directly out of the Pol Pot era and being the starvation that they endured, was an example of a lack of leadership on a global level. That's not to say the UN's doing a bad job. It just means that they're actually not approaching that problem. And what I'm seeing here tonight is what you're doing is a way to bridge that gap between rights and then the responsibility, and that's excellent. After Cambodia, I actually went up in Rwanda, and unfortunately, I was there for the genocide, and it was actually, in fact, quite a terrible time. The UN pulled all its forces out, and there was only 10 civilians and 200 Ghanaian troops, and we were swamped by the genocide that went on. And in 100 days, 1 million people died, and 80% of them died by machete or hand grenade. It was a very, very personal conflict, neighbor upon neighbor, and ex-friends onto ex-friends, and it was just shocking to see where humanity can go. And that was the case and an example of extremely bad leadership. And what you're doing here is going the other way, trying to create a cohort of good, selfless, reliable leaders. And we're seeing the examples in Eastern Europe and Middle East right now of poor leadership. And this is what we need to avoid in the future. So I won't go any more with my tale of woes. I'll hand back to you, Emory.
Thank you, Kel. Your experiences surely span far and wide. And thank you for highlighting the leadership that we focus on in JCI. And I think it would be pertinent to mention that Kel himself was, in fact, a JCI member. So my second question to you is, the first article of the Universal Declaration of Human Duties for Leaders is preserve life. When did you realize you wanted to be a part of promoting long-term peace globally, and what inspired you to join the United Nations?
Even as a young boy, I always wanted to join the United Nations because what they were trying to do was such a universal thing. And when I was just a young kid, to do what they were trying to do then with the resources they had, I thought was just an absolutely splendid thing. But you're talking about a critical moment. It happened to me in Cambodia, and we had a famine occurring up in the north of Cambodia, and I was up there with my reconnaissance team, and I saw a woman who was literally just sticking bones, carrying her child, and the child was very ill at that moment, and sadly went on to die. But she was pleading for help, and there was no one there apart from us, and we weren't geared up for that problem. Of course, there was still heavy fighting going on with the Khmer Rouge, and so we were sort of like doing our best to stay alive ourselves. And I realized then that the tragedy of war is the collateral damage, and that's women, children, families, and community. And wars are generally driven by men, and you can see that women are the victim of that. And it was that point then I realized that the purpose of preserving life is just so important, and it should be an aim and a goal, not only of JCI, but also of the United Nations.
Thanks, Kel, and thank you for sharing some stories of tragedy, as hard as that may be. As a result of your service with the United Nations, you were awarded the Australian Overseas Humanitarian Medal from the Australian government. Article 2 of the Declaration is serve humanity. Can you share with us your motivations to continually contribute to safe and fair communities?
This gets back to personal values and morals. We all have values. I certainly hope you do. And communities should have values. And those values would be like, for example, respect the dignity of human life, to ensure that all our children are cared for, to care for and look after our neighbours, to try to improve the quality of living within communities. Values can be many and varied, but we need to have them. And my values was always to do a lot with care and compassion. And so that's sort of drove my humanitarian aspirations in life. And if you don't have values, I honestly feel that you can't achieve your goals. And all of us may have values, we just haven't thought about what they are critically and put them into a written word and make it into a code that we can live by. But values are what drove me to the humanitarian side of UN operations.
And in line with those values, Kel, Article 6 of the Declaration is to educate yourself and teach others. What inspired you to transition from service and teach at Williams Business College? And please share with us the drive behind delivering the UN diploma.
Okay, so in actual fact, I'll add a third aspect to that as well. And that's what drove my education. That happened in Sudan, and the town, which is now a capital of South Sudan, is Juba, and it was burning down. And after the riots had been quelled and the city was just all ash, the international airport was the airport was still operating, and that was part of my responsibility with airports. And I had a British teacher arrive and flew in from London by Kenya, and I had to take him to his school, but the school had burnt down. And so I then dropped him off at the hotel, and I said, good luck, and I've got a million other things to do, and hang in there. Following day, I saw him under a tree teaching 6 children with little blackboards. And these blackboards were very, very small, and they were practicing reading, writing using chalk. The education went on. And that's from a UN perspective, that is just so critical, because if we can educate people, we can educate people to stay away from violence, to learn what their values are and implement them, and also talk about the rights and then the responsibilities of our actions. And after that, I got into a bit in teaching in the United Nations, and I quite enjoyed teaching all that. And so it drove me so much that when I got back to Australia, I wanted to teach myself. So I did. But then the opportunity came up for me to buy a business college. So I brought Williams Business College, and that is Australia's oldest private college. And we're still going quite well today. We had ups and downs during COVID, but we got through that. And then still something was lacking. And in Australia, we are not reaching people with the message of the UN and what the UN's doing. And so I created the diploma to make people aware of what is happening in the globe, make people aware of what the UN is doing and what they can do to contribute to making their community a better and more prosperous aspect. And a part of that was leadership. And we actually, I got the chief military advisor to Kofi Annan to come in and talk about leadership within the United Nations. And he taught with for the diploma for several years. And without leadership, UN goes nowhere. And it's the same for JCI. If you don't have leadership, you won't go anywhere. But now you've got to get the message down to the grassroots level. And you're talking about how do you overcome problems of project management and leadership issues. Well, perhaps, just perhaps, maybe you need to run courses on leadership. And that would probably be first step. Train your people to be leaders. Not all people are natural leaders, but it gets back to an issue called traits, and all people have traits, and you just have to, they need to emphasize the good traits they have, and they too can become good leaders as well.
Well, I am a very proud graduate of the UN diploma, Kel, so thank you so much for teaching me. And it is all of our duties to educate ourselves and pass that knowledge on. My final question to you is, with a career in leadership, what makes it so important to lead responsibly? Can you share some wisdom with us on consistently setting a good example?
Well, setting the good example, that means you set the standards, and you have to tell the people what the standard is. You can't keep it to yourself and let no one else know. You need to be public about the standard you're going to set. And remember, the buck stops with you. And if things don't work, you can't blame the people down the pipeline for not doing their job. Your job, and this is a responsibility that we're talking about, is to manage those people, but to give them the time, resources, and the authority to make the decisions. So that's the key to management. And if you don't have good managers, you don't have good leaders. And one thing that is very, very important is that leaders know the difference between being a transformational leader and a transactional leader. And most transactional leaders, they get that from the TV and media and social media, whereas transformational leader is what you guys are trying to achieve. You are trying to change your people and your community by transforming them, giving them something better. And that's a transformational leader. And you need to emphasize that, but make your leaders aware of what it is and how to do it. Remembering, without that core ground of supporters behind you, you've got nothing. So you need to care for them, and that's what you're trying to do. Care for your ground support, which is crucial. In the end, organizations need leaders. In the end, organizations only work if a leader is good. And therefore, that's what I think what you're trying to achieve here. And I think you're on the right path.
Thank you so much, Kel, and we will raise the bar and level up. You are an example of promoting human rights and living out your human duties in your life. I thank you so much for joining us and answering our questions this evening with JCI Europe and around the world, and I hope to see you soon.
Thank you very much, Emily, and I really appreciate being allowed to come here tonight. Wonderful, and good luck to you guys. Thank you.
It's been our absolute pleasure. So we have learned about the birth, growth, and relevance of human duties, and it is now time to implement them in our daily lives. To help us do that, I would like to introduce 2006 JCI President Lars Hajslund, who had the responsibility of 200,000 young active citizens worldwide. Lars is an international networker and has worked with leadership his entire career. Through his work with organizations, leaders, entrepreneurs, and employees in more than 100 countries, Lars has developed a great understanding of the larger processes, leadership, strategic thinking and development, creation of dynamic learning environments, and of course, different cultures. Today, Lars manages 3 companies in Denmark focused on learning design, strategic consulting, and business innovation, and he is the co-founder and principal of Click Institute. Lars, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I think it's wonderful that we're here. And I just want to say that I really admire what is going on around the world and what JCI is doing for this, because I think this is maybe the most important thing that we've taken up for the last 125 years that we existed. So I really admire that, and I admire people like Kel, who's taking it to a completely different level, really designating his life to really serve others in some of the worst places in the world, but also creating hope, which is what we absolutely need to do. But this is not necessarily just about going out there and being going to serve United Nations or becoming a JCI president or doing projects in your local city. This is also about you. And I think that we sometimes forget in the bigger picture that human duties is something that is our responsibility every single day to live our duties. And I think that when we live our duties, I think that the 7 human duties that we are talking about in JCI is something that is really amazing. I think that we have a lot of things to do to preserve life. I think the way that we preserve not only preserve life in general, but the way that we preserve our own life. That we have a responsibility to stay healthy. We have a responsibility to help others stay healthy. We have a responsibility to care of others and to preserve the lives that we're part of. We need to make sure that we are role models in our local communities in every way of the human duties, but especially here as well. So working for long-term peace, but also working for inclusion is something that you can work with every single day. If you live in a diverse community, making sure that you include people, and we all live in diverse communities with all different challenges that people have, that we can really do that, so that we can make sure that we do that, but also invite people into sharing our prosperity, which is one of the other human duties. I definitely think that we need to serve humanity, but we need to serve it also on a local level by showing respect and care for others, that we honor people, that every individual that we meet. When I go to a restaurant, I always, if the chef comes out or the younger chef comes out to help, I always embrace him and tell him how wonderful a job they're doing. If I have a chance to talk to the bellman at a hotel and get to know him, I love that. And I think it's some of the things that we need to show respect on people on all levels of life. We also have to, of course, to make sure that we contribute to having a really safe community wherever we are. And that is a responsibility that we can take every single day. That you make sure that whenever you wake up in the morning, you ask yourself, how can I actually contribute to these human duties? But it's also to really make sure that we sustain the globe and that we have sustainability for the future as well. I think that one of the things that we often forget is how much we can do every single day, how much we can actually do to sustain the planet. I've flown many millions of miles. I've never, ever in my life bought a business ticket. I always fly coach because I don't want to take up twice. I don't want to spend twice the energy of moving me than I would ask from anyone else. I am a very busy person, but I don't own a car. I take public transportation wherever I can. I rent a car. I share cars. I ride my bike and I walk. It's also helping me preserve my own life as well. But there are so many things that we can actually do in our daily life just to preserve and to create a sustainable future. To choose whatever you think is most important in your area. We also have to pursue prosperity, and I think it is one of the most important human duties, because if there is one thing we need to, if the problem number one that the United Nations identified was poverty of people, and the only way that we can actually raise people from poverty is to make sure that they have great jobs and that we, as leaders in the world, actually take responsibility of doing that. So really pursue prosperity in many ways, but it's not only necessarily financial prosperity. It can be many ways that you can do that. that you make sure that you involve yourself in politics, so that you make sure that we have a rightful system. In the JCI Creed, we have some very strong values on how a community should actually be upheld by governments of laws, not of men, that we make sure that we have good democracies wherever we live, but also that we have the freedom to create enterprises, and that we have a freedom to create business with each other over borders, across borders, and really fighting for that. We also need to, of course, make sure that you understand that respecting human personality is something that is essential in every sense of the words. That we as people need to remember that we all comes from the same, we're all going the same place, but that we really have to respect that people are different, that people have different opportunities, people have different abilities, but that we all deserve the respect that is needed. We need to look at how we can work even better at overcoming language barriers and working at the diversity issues that are in so many places, that everybody has the equal rights. But that also means that we need to make sure that our duty is to make those rights available for people. The last one, second last one, but maybe the most important one for me, is to educate yourself and teach others. I've had the opportunity to do training in 127 countries now, 44 states in the US, and I work with hundreds, I would almost say millions of people around the world. And I think that the biggest chance that you have as a person is to learn yourself. I hope that you embrace all the new technologies that are coming up. I hope that you are an AI enthusiast like myself. I hope that you're trying to learn something new every single week, because it's only when we learn that we can actually teach. And when we teach, we also understand that the person who will learn the most is actually the teacher. So going into that, really making sure that you not only teach in JCI, but you also teach your kids, you teach your family, you teach in your community. You make sure that you are a good role model by the things that you're doing and the way that you're working. And of course, we also need to lead responsible. We need to make sure that we are responsible leaders, that we protect the individual freedom, that we work on having everybody having a fair chance, that we that whenever someone is in majority, that we make sure that the minority also feels good. Not that the minority should have the majority's decision power, because they won't, but we should make sure that everybody feels safe wherever they are. And we should really work on promoting the human rights by doing our human duties. And that will be my final message to you today, that this is not something where you can actually point to others and say, I got my rights, but you absolutely have at least 3 fingers pointing to yourself saying, yeah, you might have rights, but you really have human duties first, and duties always comes before rights. These are my final words, and back to you, Emory.
Thank you very much, President Lars. My goodness, you have got the discussion started, and I feel like JCI Europe will commit to running some online workshops to delve deeper into how we as individuals can fulfill our human duties. But thank you for teaching us how to implement them in our everyday lives. In the interest of time, we will push on, but we will certainly ensure we have a second installment of this presentation. Being that this Human Duties Day event is brought to you by JCI Europe, I would like to ask Executive Vice President Manuela to speak about how Team Europe lives the human duties through their leadership. Manuela served on the Human Duties Committee in 2022, and I was lucky enough to serve with her, making her leadership reflect our responsibilities to each other and globally. Please, Manuela, talk to us.
Thank you so much, dear VP Emory, for hosting this great session about the human duties and inviting all our important honored guests, the President, to further educate about the human duties that we have. It's really a great honor to be in that round for this Human Duties Day celebration. And it's a very good point that you mentioned. we should have some more sessions to further educate and show examples of how we actually implement the human duties in our lives. And I can just say, as Emory and I were working with the President Argenis on the human duties in the beginning, it has, of course, influenced ourselves as well a lot in how we live, how we see our leadership roles. And I would say from our team Europe, we have a lot this kind of duty number 7, lead responsibly. So to feel like, I mean, it was said already from our speakers in advance, it's the leading responsibly. So our actions, how we behave, what we do, what we do not do, has of course an impact on our society, on our people around in the team, to respect everyone, to motivate, and thank for the great contributions that we do. So we as a team Europe, we are also role models for everyone else. And when I think, for example, at the European conference, when we were responsible to lead some of the sessions at the conference, and to see how the team work together, how we think forward into what we want to achieve, how we want to be perceived, what JCI Europe stands for. This is all the great team efforts in how to work together and think about these human duties of what is the future in JCI, but also in our world outside of JCI. And to see the leadership journey that we do, the education that we do, and how it actually can influence and help us shaping the world around us. And I think because also the time has gone forward, and we have heard everything. We have the human duties, the human rights, we have the values. And I mentioned this also in my opening speech at the European conference. I really think that the key for our activities in JCI and for being relevant as JCI are our values. So it's what we have in the creed, but also what we have mentioned, what we have worked out as the human duties to further shape the world around us and being relevant as JCI and JCI Europe. Thank you so much for all the support and contributions, for being here with us tonight, this morning. Yeah, back to you, dear VP Emory. I think there are some more call to actions.
Thank you, Manuela, for leading Team Europe and ensuring that we consistently strive to fulfill our responsibilities as leaders. And you are right, there are some more calls to action. So this brings us to the end of this Human Duties Day event. I would like to thank all of our esteemed speakers, and to all of you participating in Zoom with us now and viewing online. I would also like to thank Iwana Bora for creating all the social media collateral, making this introductory event visible and possible. Together, we can create the change we want to see in the world. If you haven't signed the petition yet, that is your first duty today. We look forward to seeing you again soon. Stay tuned on JCI Europe Facebook for more information about our upcoming International Human Duties Everyday online workshop. Thank you and good night.